Welcome back to our channel, where we dive deep into the world of wireless networks. Today, we're settling the age-old debate once and for all, Verizon versus AT&T versus T-Mobile. Which network truly comes out on top? Verizon, known for its expansive coverage and reliable signal strength. AT&T with its robust network and impressive customer satisfaction. And T-Mobile, the disruptor, offering competitive pricing and groundbreaking innovations. Join us as we uncover the strengths and weaknesses of each network and finally reveal the champion that reigns supreme in the world of wireless connectivity. T-Mobile. This network has the least amount of coverage compared to Verizon and AT&T. A test conducted by OpenSignal rates T-Mobile's 4G coverage at 8.7 out of 10. This indicates that T-Mobile may have relatively less access to 4G speeds in high-traffic locations compared to the other two networks. However, T-Mobile performs well in terms of 4G availability. It comes in second place after Verizon with an estimated availability rate of 95.4%. This means that T-Mobile's network is accessible and available for use in a significant portion of the time. When it comes to upload speeds, T-Mobile outperforms both AT&T and Verizon. T-Mobile has an average upload speed of 8.6 megabits, making it the clear winner in this aspect among the three networks. In terms of download speeds, T-Mobile is ranked second, with AT&T taking the lead at 28.5 megabits per second. This implies that if fast download speeds are a priority for you, AT&T may be a better choice. In terms of latency, T-Mobile falls somewhere in the middle between AT&T and Verizon. It has a latency of 50.4 milliseconds, which indicates that it has a moderate response time. Overall, T-Mobile has good network availability, strong upload speeds, and competitive performance in other areas, making it a worthy contender in the Verizon versus AT&T versus T-Mobile comparison. However, it's important to consider your specific needs and priorities when choosing a network provider. Verizon. Verizon is known for its extensive coverage across the United States, including remote areas. If you frequently travel throughout the country, Verizon is often considered a reliable choice. You can expect a wide network reach, and you won't have to worry about network connections being unavailable in certain areas. In terms of 4G coverage and availability, Verizon performs exceptionally well. It receives a rating of 9.7 out of 10 for coverage and has an availability rate of 95.9%, indicating that it provides strong network access. However, Verizon doesn't lead in every network feature. It ranks third in terms of average download speed, with a speed of 25.3 megabits per second. While it may not have the fastest download speeds, it still provides a decent experience for most users. In terms of average upload speed, Verizon comes in second place with a speed of 7.9 megabits, just behind T-Mobile. This means that Verizon offers reasonably good upload speeds for tasks such as uploading files or sharing content. Verizon also falls behind in terms of latency, which refers to the time it takes for data to travel between devices. It has a latency of 56.4 milliseconds, which is higher compared to both T-Mobile and AT&T. Lower latency is generally desirable for activities such as online gaming or real-time communication. In summary, Verizon excels in terms of coverage, network availability, and upload speeds. It offers a reliable network across the United States, including remote areas. However, it may not provide the fastest download speeds and has higher latency compared to its competitors in this comparison. Depending on your specific needs and priorities, Verizon may still be a strong contender in the Verizon versus AT&T versus T-Mobile comparison. AT&T. This network may not be the first to release mmWave networks for 5G, but it still maintains a strong 4G network. While some people may compare T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T based on 5G, it's important to note that 5G availability is still limited. In terms of 4G coverage, AT&T exceeds T-Mobile and comes close to Verizon, receiving a rating of 9.3 out of 10. This indicates that AT&T offers good coverage for its 4G network. However, AT&T lags behind in terms of 4G availability, being available 92.9% of the time. While it may not have the highest availability rate compared to T-Mobile and Verizon, it still provides a reliable network for most users. AT&T phones have an advantage in terms of download speed. In the comparison of T-Mobile versus Verizon versus AT&T, AT&T emerges as the clear winner with an average download speed of 27.5 megabits. This means that AT&T users can expect relatively fast download speeds for tasks such as streaming or downloading large files. On the other hand, AT&T's upload speeds are slower compared to the alternatives. It has an average upload speed of 6.0 megabits, which is not exceptionally fast. However, AT&T makes up for it in terms of latency, which is the time it takes for data to travel between devices. AT&T wins the latency battle among T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T with a latency of only 49.7 milliseconds. Lower latency is beneficial for activities that require real-time responsiveness, such as online gaming or video calls. In summary, AT&T offers a strong 4G network with good coverage and download speeds. While its availability rate may be slightly lower compared to T-Mobile and Verizon, it still provides reliable network access. However, AT&T's upload speeds are slower, although it compensates for it with lower latency. Depending on your specific needs and priorities, AT&T can be a competitive choice in the Verizon versus AT&T versus T-Mobile comparison. Geographical reach. When comparing the coverage of Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, it's important to consider the geographical reach of each network. According to data from the FCC, Verizon covers 55.05% of the country, while AT&T covers 55.11%. Both providers have extensive coverage, but there are slight differences in their coverage gaps. Verizon has some areas with limited coverage in states like Nevada, Utah, Oklahoma, and Kentucky, while AT&T's gaps are primarily in Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. On the other hand, T-Mobile covers 35.3% of the country, with a stronger presence in the eastern half of the United States compared to the western regions. While T-Mobile's coverage is not as extensive as Verizon or AT&T, when it comes to the fastest 5G coverage, specifically 5G NR with speeds of 35.3 megabits, the situation changes. T-Mobile has the widest geographical coverage among the three providers. Approximately 12.5% of the country is covered by T-Mobile's fast 5G network, while AT&T's coverage stands at 10.9% and Verizon's coverage is at 8.1%. It's worth mentioning that the coverage maps for all three providers can still have areas of spottiness, as the extent of coverage can vary within specific regions and cities. Verizon tends to have strong coverage in major cities, California, and the East Coast, while AT&T's coverage shines in the upper Midwest and South. T-Mobile's coverage, although spread out across the country, still exhibits gaps in both densely and sparsely populated regions, particularly in the western and plain states. So, when comparing Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, each network has its own strengths and areas of expertise. That's why it's important to consider your requirements to determine the network that suits you best. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.